Hey everyone, PokeGold76 back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about how to determine what condition your Pokemon card is in. I think this is a pretty common within the Pokemon TCG community, but it can be difficult to figure out how you should categorize what condition your card is in, especially if you're new to collecting. So I wanted to go through the different types of conditions within Pokemon TCG. You might hear things like near mint, excellent, good, played, heavy played. But for the sake of this example, I'm going to go through 5 different conditions, which is mint, so what you'd expect a card out of a pack to be. Near mint, which is a card very similar to mint, but maybe has a little scratching on the surface or maybe some whitening on the back. Lightly played, which is more played than near mint, obviously. So more whitening on the back, maybe some heavier scratches. Moderately played and heavy played are the 2 other types of conditions I'll go through, which are just more wear than lightly played. Now I've chosen a few different examples from my collection to go through. The first is this Eevee card from Evolving Skies, the most recent set. Now I went and opened a booster box myself and pulled this Eevee card. And you'd think this would be a mint card. I opened the booster pack myself, straight from a booster box, sealed, straight from the Pokemon company. You'd think this would be mint, but unfortunately, and something that happens pretty commonly within modern cards, is the quality control is pretty poor. And you'll see a few different examples of why this card would not be considered mint. You'll see in the corners in the left and right that this card has some, not really whitening, but you'll see it right in the light there, some almost folding to it. And you'd expect this card to be, in perfect condition. I just opened it straight from a pack. Why would it not be in perfect condition? But unfortunately, because quality control isn't great with modern cards, the cards you're pulling from the packs are more along the lines of near mint or even lightly played if there's some edge wear in addition. Now, there is another way to determine grading, which isn't what this video is about, which is centering. If you guys want a video about grading, let me know and I can make a video about how to determine and accurately predict what grade your card will get. But for this Eevee, I would say it's in near mint condition because it has those little folding errors in the corners. Now we can go to a vintage card, this Dark Vileplume. I bought from a lot. It's in very, very good condition. You can see there's no real surface scratching anywhere on the front. We turn to the back, same thing. You will notice there's some whitening on the bottom right corner, the bottom left corner, a little on the edge, but nothing too crazy. This card, similar to the Eevee, would be considered near mint, as there's very, very little whitening around the edges and the corners. The surface looks good. This is a near mint card. The next 2 examples are cards that I would consider lightly played. And the first I want to go through is this Dark Charmeleon. Now on the front and on the surface, it looks pretty good. No scratching or anything. Looks very, very nice. We turn to the back and you'll notice in the top left and top right, there's some pretty heavy whitening in both corners. And even on the bottom left and bottom right. Now, this whitening is the same type of wear that you saw in the Dark Vileplume, but it's more accentuated, which means that this card wouldn't fall under the near mint conditioning, but it would fall under lightly played. Now we have the Dark Wartortle. And this card, again, the surface looks great. From the front, this could be mint. We turn to the back, and you'll notice, hey, not really that much whitening. There's a little folding action at the top left, as you can see, but nothing too crazy. And something that you do have to look out for at cards is with quality control, if there's any staining or ink mark errors, which you'll see here, this pink. This isn't dirt or anything. This is a marking straight from when this card was printed, but it is something to note down and something that would knock, if you were to get this graded or whatnot, would knock it down to more of a lightly played. So, although it doesn't have the scratching, the whitening, surface of the card does matter, not only on the front, but the back. Now, the next 3 cards are examples of, I would say, moderately played, and they all cover 3 different examples. First, this Duskull is a good example of a lightly played card that is affected by the surface. And you can see immediately on the bottom right, you can see these harsh scratch marks in the hollow. On the back, it looks pretty good. You know, there's some wear on the corners, maybe a little folding action. The card's generally a little bent, but that doesn't really affect the condition at all. But the real main detraction from here is that this card has some major surface wear. Wouldn't be mint, wouldn't be near mint, wouldn't be lightly played. I would say this is moderately played. This Magnemite doesn't have that scratching that the Duskull had. The back doesn't look, bad. Well, other than this major fold, which is what I want to talk about, is the creasing here. But something that you do have to really be careful of is surface and bending. Now this Magnemite has a pretty bad crease on the bottom left corner, which would make this, in my opinion, not heavily played because everything else looks pretty good, but moderately played, and anyone that saw this card would notice this large crease. Last example of moderately played is this Aeron. Surface, there's scratching, there's dirt marks on the back, there's whitening all along the edges and the corners, there's some folding on the edge right here. So although it's nothing too crazy, it's a combination of all the different categories that fall under how you judge conditioning, which is why I would say this is moderately played. And the last example is this Gyarados, which is very, very heavily played. Big crease in the middle, it's folded everywhere, it's dirty, there's whitening everywhere, it's creased and folded into the corner. This is heavily played. I think you get the gist. This card probably wouldn't even be, legal in tournaments. So, card like this, heavy played. We'll do a quick little recap. Heavy played for the Gyarados because of, deep crease marks, surface and back wear. Duskull, Magnemite, Aeron. Look out for hollow scratching. Look out for creases in the corners or anywhere else in the card. Look out for a combination of different wear and tear within your card, with the surface, with dirt marks, with creasing, with edge wear. That would make a card into moderately played. Cards with lightly played, the Charmeleon Wartortle. Look out for surface wear. These examples, they don't have too much, but look out for edging, as in the Charmeleon in the corners. Look out for, this is actually a good example of surface wear. I take my words back. Look out for surface wear, even if it's not your own, scratching. Look out for ink errors or anything else that would be considered surface wear. Near mint with this Vileplume looks good, but still little, a little bend, a little whitening. And lastly, Eevee, something you'd think is mint and you'd want it to be mint, but it's just on the border of mint and near mint. So, hope this helped. Clear some questions up. If you need any help on determining, what your card falls under, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer the best I can. If you'd like to see a video about grading and how to predict what grade your Pokemon card will get, let me know, and I'll catch you all in my next video.